Hello comic fans, here's Earl Grey. Before we tar and feather 2020, let's do quickly the third list with my favorite comics from the last year. This time it's all about European graphic novels, omnibuses, anthologies, what have you. Not the Red Corsair ones, because they're just covering up the stuff beneath, but here we have, on rank 10, a Franco-Belgian classic, Natasha, about the adventures of the stewardess, created by the Belgian Waltery with the help of lots of friends. And I really do like the camaraderie between these guys here. This is Waltery, but yeah, it was really a gang of friends. You got lots of bonus material, like these sketches, which I do like immensely. Here's my favorite page of them all, and you can see why Waltery was always late with his art. He always used more time than he actually had. But you can see this in the comic, in the actual comic, which reminds you maybe a bit of Ligne Claire, but it isn't, because it's always so full of details in the background, and it's much more than Ligne Claire usually. Story-wise, the humor is a bit old-fashioned, sometimes stuffy, but it's just fun, and you have to live with these plots that are foreseeable. But to tell you the truth, give me a beautiful female protagonist, give me dinosaurs, give me nice adventures. I'm in. Sometimes I'm just simple as that. So, and this is a good cue to the next book here. Oh, what a book! Andrax, which I've showed already in my video about Jordi Bernet, Spaniard. And he's the reason why you should get this book in case you live in Germany. I guess this is really a German-only edition. As you can see, beautiful art. The stories from Peter Wichmann, at least, are forgettable at best. But Jordi Bernet used the help of a Spaniard, second writer, so to speak, who is not mentioned. But some stories are really better than the others, and as I knew the Peter Wichmann style of writing, the better stories here are not from Peter Wichmann. So, my rank number 9, overall, a hefty tome of comic fun galore. So, now to rank 8, and I could put almost each and every publication from Kush into my list here. I went for this anthology here called, with a central theme about the end, as you can see here on the cover. This is out of light comes darkness, cometh darkness. So, yeah, nice collection of different styles and tropes, and in this anthology it works really excellent with these different ways of cartooning. Each one taking their stance on the end, and this here I found pretty disturbing here, taking some motives from good old Edvard Munch, as you can see. Wait, here, I think you should be familiar with this here, or even more with this original from Edvard Munch is called Puberty, and she takes a very disturbing way of portraying, especially the husband of the sick lady here. So, great collection of little stories, fantastic art and interesting ways of storytelling. I could have picked up this one here about imperfect shapes as well. Beautiful cover, in my opinion. Just my rank 7, but still one of the highlights, comic-wise, in the last year for me is this book here, Die Gentleman GmbH. The Italian original actually is called Gli Aristocratici, The Aristocrats, written by Alfredo Castelli and drawn by Ferdinando Tacconi. Yeah, it's the start of the reprint of these comics that were milestone for me as a young one. Reading these stories here really were very important to me, and I didn't expect that these books here, or these comics, were ever reprinted, these stories. So I'm really glad, even though, yeah, the stories are not the greatest in the world, but as old James Bond movies, you watch them for the old tech, for the atmosphere, and yeah, these guys who are just a bit more than mere cliches. Let's put it that way. Even though I really don't understand why they had to modernize some panels, like they changed this transistor radio-like device into some kind of ghetto blaster, and some other modernized some other computers, which is really not necessary, because or stupid, because this ghetto blaster is obviously out-fashioned already again. So you're in a loop of constantly updating your tech in these comics, which is a bit stupid and disrespectful to the artist, in case Ferdinando Tacconi wasn't involved in these reshaping the comics. But it's just, these are just changes in some panels, so it's not so important. And I'm really real glad that Phoenix Comics, a small publisher who is more than a club with people who spend money for them to publish these books, because otherwise you can't do stuff like this in German. On rank 6 we have a comic that was written by Jean Van Ham, very famous for 13, written for Gregor Rosinski, very famous for Thorgal. So some kind of European dream team doing a Western for us. And really, this book here is a gift. It's from 2001, so it's not as fresh as you would think, but it is just has just been published, so it's part of my top 10 right here. It's a cycle of stories drawn in a very in the style where you can see all the line work and all the painterly effects of Gregor Rosinski, who is able to paint panels, really paint, not just draw, but have a feel for light effects and structures, and is really an old school kind of artist. It's a wonderful art to look at, and the story is really good as well. It's rather a cycle of short stories that make up a whole plot around yeah, a young one-armed guy in the Wild West. So maybe this one-arm trope here reminded me a bit of Bouncer, one great other comic that has been published in Germany by Schreiber und Leser. This is the 3rd volume, in a bigger size than the English one. So I sold my English tome from Humanoids, and bought these Schreiber- und Leserbooks. But because I have included Bouncer in one of my older top 10 lists, I didn't put these books here into this top 10, but they would have deserved it. And talking about books that I haven't included, let's see here. Some of the best comics Jacques Tardy ever did were these adaptations from crime noir stories from Manchette. So now you can get, I guess, a collection of 4 in one slipcase or something like that. A collection of 4 Manchette albums from Fantagraphics. So if I would not had already these books here in German in my collection, these Tardy books, they really were most probably rank 1 or 2 on this list here. It's a tough competition, as you will see. So yeah, but get these Fantagraphics books, these Jacques Tardy books are European comics at its best. So now, drum roll please, because it doesn't happen too often that a German comic creator enters my top 10 here, like Bella Sobotke does with The Legend of Kronos Rocco. And this is well deserved. This is a fine comic, homage to this wild western / time travel story by Tony Anthony. And if you want to win my heart, you just have to do this here. Do a little homage to Philippe Drouillet right on the first page. But this was actually not necessary to convince me that this is a great story, because Bella Sobotke just does this very light-hearted, hilarious, whimsical, still rough comic that just hits you over the head with non-stop nonsense galore, like these Wolpertingers creatures from German folklore. But you don't have to know anything about German folklore, but it's just a nice bonus that these creatures here are added into the mix. Our hero rides through different timelines, and this comic doesn't take itself serious on no panel, but on the other hand, it's a good story. It's really a fantastic story with cool characters and yeah, nice gripping underground feel on my rank 5. And now to rank 4, and I've already told you in my video about Claire Briggs, in which I talked at the end a bit about this book, that this will be included in my top 10. And here we have it in on rank 4. Brecht Evans' Idolphania, a collection of comic strips done in this unusual format here. It's actually, as you can see. So, and little poignant comic strips done in this beautiful watercolor style of Brecht Evans, and pretty cool ideas and executed in a very convincing way. So far to the more light-hearted stuff here. Now we're in post-apocalyptic territory with Antonio Segura and most and foremost José Ortiz, 2 Spaniards giving us Hombre, the collected edition. This is volume 2. There will be a third and concluding volume. The first volume contained exclusively colored material, and the second one we have black and white stories as well. And as you can see, José Ortiz art excels in this black and white format as well, in this very strong and gripping. And these are some of the most terrifying and most sinister, darkest stories that you can get in this genre of post-apocalyptic stories, in which you find already pretty disturbing stories, but this is, yeah, disturbing on the top of disturbing, I would say. But I do like the colored stuff here as well. So it's art-wise and story-wise very gripping and compelling, in a dark way compelling mixture that just could be topped by, yeah, you already have guessed it, I guess, Philippe Druillet on rank 2, and I did a whole video on Chaos already, so in case you don't know anything about Philippe Druillet, then you should have be a newbie to my channel, or to European comics in general, I would say. All the others would just nod their heads right now and I think asking themselves what can be better than a book from Philippe Druillet. I mean, Chaos is not it's from the Lone Sloan series, of course, and it's not the best book from Philippe Druillet in my humble opinion, but nevertheless it's Philippe Druillet and you have to top it, and you can do this if you are Hugo Pratt. And this is the collection of the Ballad of the Salty Sea, which I've praised already in a video before. So, and this is just the perfect mixture of wonderful art and good storytelling. One of the high points in the Corto Maltese series, if not the best story total. So at least comic-wise, 2020 was not that bad of a year. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.